Hello everyone, my name is Letabo Manameds and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new to my page, a special welcome to you. I hope that you'll enjoy today's video and other videos that I've posted, and hopefully subscribe to my channel. So I'll be turning 20 soon, and as exciting as that is, I wanted to dedicate this video to sharing all of the lessons that I've learned in my 19 years and 11 months of living. I know that I'm still young and there's still so much to be learned, and there's still so much to grasp in life and so much to truly understand about how life works and how to truly live to my fullest potential. But in the meantime, I just wanted to reflect on all of the things that I've learned till this point, things that I might carry forth as I enter this new decade, or things that I might discard as I grow older. But nonetheless, here's the video. Lesson number one that I've learned in my 19 years of living is this: the only way to feel peace and contentment is through establishing a real connection with God. God is the one who fills us with the internal riches that no external factor can take away from us. He's the one who fills us with joy, peace, contentment, happiness. He is the one who makes us feel fulfilled, and it is through having a relationship with Him that we are able to really go through life content and at peace. I put this as my number one lesson because this is one lesson that I intend to take forth for the rest of my life. I intend to keep it as a reminder that it is only God and God alone who is able to give me the peace and contentment, and it is not no other external factor has the ability to do that which God only can do. Lesson number two that I've learned thus far is that all things truly work out for the good of those who trust the Lord. No matter how difficult a situation is in my life, I've come to appreciate the fact that even in hardship and even in difficulty, God is using those very things to build me for the better. God is using those things to craft me into the very being that He has created me to be. I might not like the season, I might not enjoy the season, but in retrospect, it be 5 years later, 10 years later, these will be things that build me into the person that He wants me to become. So I've come to appreciate that God's love is not only shown in Him giving me the things that I desire or the good things that He desires for me. It's also seen in Him allowing me to go through difficult seasons so that I may either take out certain characteristics that are a hindrance to my progress, and also learn certain lessons that allow me to walk further in the path that He has created for me. Lesson number three that I've learned thus far is holding on to guilt doesn't make me a better person, and it does not speed up the process of changing. A lot of people tend to hold on to guilt because they believe that it is a way of showing remorse for things that have happened or things that they have done. However, I've come to see guilt, and it's taken time for me to get to this point, but I've gotten to see guilt as the enemy's way of making us as believers of Christ work in self-sabotaging ways. He uses it to hold us back and to kind of make us reject the good things that God wants to bring into our lives. He wants us to remember all the bad and all the sins and all these things so that we reject goodness when God brings it our way. So I've learned that just because one is choosing to hold on to guilt, it doesn't make God go, oh wow, I can see that you're remorseful, I can see that you're repentant truly. It doesn't make God feel that way. God wants us to be free. He wants us to be guilt-free, and that is the reason why He sent His Son Jesus Christ to die for our sins, so that we may live in freedom and so that we may be able to enjoy the fruits that come with living in His freedom. So I take that lesson, and I take that as lesson number three, because as I continue through life, I just constantly want to remind myself that allowing myself to feel guilt or allowing myself to scold myself or beat myself up, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm progressing anymore or changing into a better person any more than my neighbor, just because I'm feeling that way. Lesson number four, which kind of ties into the lesson that I've just shared right now, is I can strive to be a better person and still love who I am today. My flaws and imperfections don't make me any less lovable or likable. I can be flawed and imperfect and still love who I am. I'm constantly aware of the fact that God is working on me, and God is creating in me a character that is more Christ-like. He wants me to represent his image here on earth and to represent his kingdom here on earth. But it doesn't mean that I cannot enjoy who I am as he's still working on me. This is for me a very important thing that I also want to continue holding on to as I grow older, because I think a lot of people tend to not have that. A lot of people tend to not enjoy who they are in the moment while they hope to become a better person in the future. A lot of people tend to feel like because they're still not yet where they wish to be, they then do not have the right to enjoy who they are in the moment. And that is one mentality that I want to break away from, and it's a mentality that I constantly want to remind myself to not fall back into, because it is probably the worst way of living life. It's terrible to live life constantly feeling like you have to be something else, or you're not yet at a point where you can learn to celebrate yourself. So that is it for me. I know that God is working on me. I know that God is changing me for the better, and I know that God is creating a better person in me. But even with my current flaws and my current imperfections that he might not approve of, and I might also look and be like, oh, God, please do change these about me. I believe that it's still okay for me to enjoy myself and to love myself for who I am, even as I'm becoming. Lesson number 5 that I've learned thus far is be comfortable with being disliked. Not everyone is going to like you, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It just means that you're not their cup of tea. It means that you're not someone that they incline towards, and that is okay. This is a lesson that I'm still learning, and it's more so a new thing. It's something that I've known for quite some time, but it's settling into my mind and into my being a lot more now than before. I think one of the things that is important when we are still young, one of the things that is important to cultivate is acceptance that not everyone will like us. I think when we are young and we're still trying to figure out our identities and still trying to figure out who we are, it's so easy for us to want to hold on to every single one that we meet and want to earn their validation and want to earn their approval, because for us it validates our identity and it validates who we are becoming. So I have learned that even as I'm growing and even as I'm becoming, it's okay to not have the whole world look at me and be like, oh, we like you. It's okay to be disliked. It's okay to not be everyone's cup of tea. More than anything, you won't be everyone's cup of tea. So the sooner one accepts that, the sooner you accept that, the sooner I accept that, the better, the more freedom we get to live, the more freedom in which we get to live our lives, the more free we get to be as we pursue our lives. You will find your inner circle of people. You'll find people who appreciate you for who you are. And if it's just 3 to 5 to 10 people, it's okay. You don't need to have 50 people for you to know that you are a likable person. The point that I've just said ties into my lesson number 7. And this is having a good inner circle is key to success. The people you surround yourself with are vital in creating your belief systems and your way of thinking. If you surround yourself with people who are optimistic and driven and have great work ethic and they speak positivity into your life, then you will be a positive person. However, if you surround yourself with people who complain, who are pessimistic, who don't want to work, who believe that life is against them, then you are bound to have that type of belief system or that way of thinking. The people you surround yourself with truly shape the person that you become. If you surround yourself with people who genuinely care about you, who genuinely love you, and who genuinely want the best for you, you will feel free to be who you are and to be what you want to be in life, to accomplish the dreams that you want to accomplish and to strive for them, because you'll know that the people who are in your inner circle, they are fueling that fire for you to achieve what you want to achieve. However, if you surround yourself with people who you doubt have the best interests for you, or who you know are envious or jealous of you, you will feel stifled. You won't necessarily have the freedom to explore and to live out your wildest dreams, because you'll know that in your circle and in your closest group of people, you have voices that are constantly bringing you down. I always try my best to surround myself with people who bring out the best in me and people who allow me to bring out the best in them. So this is a very important lesson for me, because I'm not necessarily placing a lot of weight on the people in my life, but I would say that if I had a different group of people in my life, some of the things that I would have allowed myself to strive for, I wouldn't have strived for them, because I wouldn't have had that voice that is able to tell me, yes, you can do this, yes, you can push for this. So having a good inner circle is important. Lesson number 7 that I've learned thus far is it's important to strive for things that are non-changing in life, such as God, love, joy, and peace. Things such as fame, money, adulation, and people to a certain extent come and go. These things are impermanent. They are constantly changing. They are ever changing. Therefore, placing one's happiness or one's ability to be fulfilled and content in things that are forever changing is, in my world, a recipe for disaster. And this is not to say one shouldn't have dreams with regards to what they would like to achieve materialistically or what they would like to achieve relationally. It's not me saying that it's bad to want to strive for a certain level of success in the external sense. What I'm trying to emphasize is, let your joy, peace, and contentment not come from those things. Let it come from a source deeper than those things, a source that is non-changing, and that source for me is God. Let it come from God, who is able to fill you constantly, whether your life is at its high or your life is at its low. Holding on to something that is non-changing is, for me, the best way to live life in the most joyful, peaceful, and content way. The 8th lesson that I've learned thus far is there is power in being vulnerable. This one can sound like a cliche, but I hold it dearly as a lesson because it is true. There is great power in one allowing themselves to be seen and to be understood. And of course, there has to be discernment and caution that is applied when deciding who you allow to see you and who you allow to understand you. I think that it's always important in life to strive to have that safe space that allows you to be vulnerable. When one is vulnerable, one is able to touch lives. One is able to touch lives truly because they're living their lives authentically. Being vulnerable is what allows you to change someone's life. And even if it's not your intention for it to be so, them seeing you in that state where you allow yourself to be seen and understood, that can have a true and real impact on them. Being vulnerable allows self to be authentic and to be genuine and to be real to the core. So I find that there's so much power in vulnerability because yes, we should go through life with resilience and strength, and we should be able to persevere and be determined no matter the storms that come our way. But even through that, we should allow ourselves to be vulnerable and to feel whatever it is that life wants us to feel, so that we may learn the lessons that need to be learned and also grow from those lessons and impart them to other people. So therefore, there will always be power in vulnerability, because in vulnerability, that is where we find love. In vulnerability, that is where we find joy. In vulnerability, that is where we find excitement. And in vulnerability, that's where we get to feel disappointment, feel sadness, feel anger. And we feel those things and we are able to deal with them because we have allowed ourselves to bring them to the surface where we can be aware of them. Last but not least, lesson number 9 that I've learned thus far is never become entitled. Always be humble. Humility is the best policy where life is concerned. I know that there's this quote that says honesty is the best policy, and although I agree with that quote, I also want to add and say humility is the best policy. It's important that no matter what comes your way, no matter the blessings and the opportunities that come your way, it's important to be humble and to never be entitled to those opportunities or those blessings. Being humble allows you to firstly acknowledge the fact that these blessings only come from God. God is the one who's granting you the opportunity to receive these blessings. God is the one who's bringing them to your doorstep. There's nothing that you could have done in your human power to make life work the way that it is for you. So being humble allows you to acknowledge the source of your blessing. And point number 2, it also allows you to remain human. Being humble is connected to humanity. When you are humble, you are able to know that, listen, at the end of the day, no matter what I have, no matter what I have achieved, I am still human. I'm not above, I'm not below, I am equal with everyone else who I meet. Being talented and being good at something also doesn't mean one is entitled to certain opportunities. You can be good at something and be extremely brilliant at a certain skill or a certain task, but it does not mean that you're entitled to certain opportunities. So this lesson, I also hold on to it with all of my might, because I want to continue walking with it, because one, it keeps me solid in God, and it keeps me humbled in the fact that God is the one who's created the life that I have. And it also reminds me that at the end, when we take away all the glitz and the glamour and all the things that we accomplish externally, at the end of the day, we are all just human, and we all just want to experience what we all want to experience what being human means. So yes, those are in actuality the 9 lessons that I've learned at 19. I am obviously going to learn way more in life, and some of the lessons that I've listed now, they might evolve or change, or my perspective might change as I get older, but so far I'm grateful that these are the lessons that I get to walk away from this decade with. So yes, thank you so much for watching till this point. Until next time, bye.